From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Features Edition for Friday, November the 27th, 2020. Well, it's been just over 2 years since the deadly Tree of Life shooting attack in Pittsburgh that took the lives of 11 people. Since the tragedy, the building that housed the synagogue has been closed, with the congregation working on a vision for what the renovation or total rebuilding of the site would look like and be. Well, last week, Tree of Life announced a number of celebrities who have signed on to lead the fundraising campaign called Remember, Rebuild, Renew for the new site. This honorary cabinet, as it is being called, includes actors Tom Hanks and Billy Porter, as well as Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf, Pittsburgh Mayor Bill Peduto, former Consul General of Israel in New York, Ambassador Danny Dayan, and Joanne Rogers, the widow of Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, who grew up in Pittsburgh and went to school in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood was produced in Pittsburgh, and the Rogers family lived just a few blocks away from the synagogue while the show was being taped. Joanne Rogers said she and her husband always felt the synagogue was a good and loving neighbor. Plans for the site are not yet official, but it will apparently include a memorial to those slain, as well as serve as an educational center against racism and hate, with partnerships together with the Holocaust Center of Pittsburgh and other community groups. The Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle quoted the congregation's Rabbi Jeffrey Myers saying, "Through this effort and with the support of people of all backgrounds, we will transform a site of hate and tragedy into a site of hope, remembrance, and education." A town in Canada voted to change the name of one of its streets after a Jewish-led campaign. In that effort, Ajax is a suburb of Toronto. It is home to Langsdorff Drive, named for Nazi naval officer Hans Langsdorff, who commanded Nazi German forces at the 1939 Battle of the River Platte. The town itself is named after the HMS Ajax, a British ship that took part in the battle. B'nai B'rith Canada had long advocated for the change. It said that the town council of Ajax voted 4-3 last week to rename the street. There was also an online petition to change the name that had about 900 signatures. CEO of B'nai B'rith Canada, Michael Mostyn, said taking action against the glorification of Canada's enemies and a man who fought for the most evil regime in history sends the right signal to those concerned about the rise of hate in our time. Israel topped the Mastercard Index of Women Entrepreneurs list for the first time in the 4 years of the rankings of 58 global economies. Israel came in 4th place last year, and this year, number 1. Noted for taking the lead for the first time, the list writes about Israel, women are supported by vast improvement in physical infrastructure and SME support. SME standing for small to medium enterprise. The United States, Switzerland, and New Zealand came in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places, respectively. B'nai B'rith World Center Jerusalem bestowed a special citation to the Shalva Band earlier this week for fostering Israel-diaspora relations through the arts, part of its prestigious award for journalism. The band is made up of 8 musicians who all have disabilities. They gained international attention when, after participating in the Rising Star singing competition in Israel, the band was asked to perform at the Eurovision semifinals in 2019. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, November the 27th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Kabbalat Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8:30, it's the film Victor Young Perez, telling of a Tunisian Jewish boxing champion at the time of the Nazi occupation of Paris. At 11, it's a replay of the Hampton services, followed by a replay of the Central Synagogue services. Coming up at 5:30, it's a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Features Edition for Friday, November the 27th, 2020. I'll be back on Monday with the regular JBS News Update. Stay healthy, stay well, and Shabbat Shalom.